I want you to picture this. It's late, you're locked in, you're playing a video game. A high-stakes, first-person shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Your heart is actually pounding, you're in a firefight, and you duck behind a solid concrete wall. You are safe, you know it. And then, bam!
Dead. Headshot.
Headshot. You're dead.
It's that moment. The universal scream of, I was behind the wall.
Every single time. And you watch the replay, the kill cam, and according to the server, you weren't behind the wall at all. You were just standing there in the open.
Yeah, waiting for it. It's the classic gamer excuse, right? It was lag.
It was lag. And that's what it is. It's a difference between your screen, your reality, and the server's reality, the absolute truth.
Right. On your screen, safe. On the server, toast.
Exactly. Now, I want you to hold on to that frustration, that really specific feeling that your screen is lying to you. Because the deep dive we're on today is asking a question that's, well, honestly, it's a little terrifying.
It is.
What if that isn't just a video game problem? What if Einstein's theory of special relativity, I mean, the bedrock of modern physics, is really just a patch for cosmic lag?
That is a massive question to ask. And we're looking at a really dense, fascinating set of materials today. It all centers on something called the Zionad-Chat theory.
Or to be formal, geometric information topological dynamics.
Which is a mouthful. Let's stick with Zionad-Chat.
Agreed. So the sources we have, they're a mix of things, right? There are transcripts from a YouTube series.
Yep. OpenZiad, and then some very technical blog posts about what they call a unit circle model. And what's really interesting are these dialogues with AI, like ChatGPT, where the author is basically stress testing all these new proofs.
So our mission today is to explore this alternate history of physics. The sources argue pretty forcefully that about 100 years ago, we took a wrong turn. We mistook a user interface problem for, actual physical reality.
We confused the map for the territory.
Or, to use their big analogy, we confused the radar screen for the sky itself. Okay, so let's get into it. This isn't just someone saying Einstein was wrong. There's a whole geometric argument here. And to help us get it, the source material gives us these 3 characters or archetypes to show how we think about the universe. It starts with someone they call the prosecutor.
Right, the prosecutor. This is your classical Newtonian physics.
Yeah.
Think 17th, 18th century. When you picture him, he's this very stern, rigid figure. He wants the facts. Only the facts.
And his map of the universe is like one of those big Mercator projections on a school wall.
Grid absolutism.
Yeah.
That's the term they use. North is always up, south is always down. A perfect ordered grid.
But he has a fatal flaw, a huge blind spot.
A huge one. He assumes that information is instantaneous. In his world, the speed of light is infinite.
So if the sun blew up right now, the prosecutor would think we'd see it explode right now.
Precisely. He completely ignores lag. He treats the universe like a blueprint where you can see everything at once. But there's a second flaw, which is maybe even bigger. He forgets that the grid itself is moving.
Right. We're on Earth, which is spinning and orbiting the sun, and the sun is moving.
He's basically standing on a train going 100 miles an hour, convinced the floor is an absolute unmoving point. And look, this works fine for building a bridge or, throwing a baseball.
Everyday stuff.
But the second you realize light has a speed limit, that there's a delay, the prosecutor's whole map just falls apart.
He gets fired. He can't explain why things aren't where they should be. And this is where history changes. We get character number 2, the pilot.
The pilot. This is the Einstein era. This is the shift to special relativity.
And he's not looking at a wall map. He's in a cockpit looking at a radar screen.
And that is a crucial difference. It's a user interface, a UI. And the number one rule of a radar screen is...
You are always the center dot.
Always. They call it self-absolutism. Everything revolves around you. But think about what a radar is for. It's not a philosophical map of the cosmos. It's for survival.
Absolutely. If a missile's coming at you, you don't care about its objective coordinates in deep space.
No. You care about when is that thing going to hit me and how fast is it coming?
It's a tool for navigation.
Right. But here's the catch. To make that radar screen work, to keep the pilot safe, the display has to distort reality. On some maps, things that are far away or moving fast look stretched out.
Like how Greenland looks as big as Africa on a lot of world maps, even though Africa is, 14 times bigger?
That's the one. It's a projection artifact. Now, this is a core argument of the Zionad-Chat theory. It claims that Einstein's famous math time dilation, length contraction, isn't describing a physical change, it's describing the distortion on the radar screen.
Whoa. Okay, wait, let me get this straight. In physics class, they teach you that if you travel near light speed, time actually slows down for you. Your spaceship physically gets shorter,
Physically squashed, yes.
and this source is saying that's just a display error.
Not an error, so much as a requirement of the interface. To keep the speed of light constant for the pilot, to keep that radar working, the math has to squish space and stretch time in the calculation. The source says Einstein looked at the stretched-out image of Greenland on his map and said, look, the continent physically changed shape.
Instead of saying, my screen is distorting the image because of my speed,
Exactly.
that's a massive difference. We're talking about the selfie versus the person.
And that brings us to the third character, the one this theory says we need to become, the judge.
The judge. I'm guessing he's the one who sees the trick.
The judge practices what the source calls system absolutism. He knows the radar is just an image. He knows about the lag. So he doesn't take the screen at face value. He does what they call back calculation.
He works out where things actually were when the light left them, not where they appear to be now.
Correct. And to show why this is so important, we have to talk about the ghost shoe thought experiment.
Okay, I spent a lot of time on this one. It's a really powerful image. So, the setup is I'm on a train, a super fast train, let's say 20% the speed of light.
Mm-hmm.
I look down at my shoe. To me, the pilot, the shoe is right there. I see it instantly.
But the judge would stop you. He'd say, hold on a second. Light takes time to travel from your shoe to your eye. It's nanoseconds, sure, but it's not zero.
And in that tiny sliver of time, the train and my eye has moved forward.
So the light didn't go straight up relative to the tracks outside.
No.
Relative to the tracks, it traveled diagonally. It went up, but it also had to go forward to catch your speeding eye. And here's the kicker. Because of that delay, the shoe you're seeing isn't where your shoe is now. You're seeing an image of where the shoe was a few meters back down the track.
I'm looking at a ghost.
You are seeing a ghost shoe. The physical shoe is right under you on the floor, but the image you're seeing is trailing behind you.
And this is where the source uses that really provocative word, gaslighting.
It's strong language, isn't it? The argument is that modern physics gaslights us. Instead of just saying, hey, you're seeing a ghost image because of lag, relativity tells us, no, the light went straight up, but space itself physically shrank and time itself slowed down to make that happen.
It's the game server telling you that you really were standing in the open instead of just admitting the connection was bad.
That's the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
It's not lag, your reality just warped. The argument is we invented this sci-fi universe of shrinking trains and slowing clocks to avoid doing the extra math of calculating the delay.
But wait a minute, if it's just lag, how does GPS work? Relativity is essential for that. If it was wrong, things would be crashing.
And the source has an answer for that. They say relativity works for navigation. It works perfectly for the pilot. If you use the distorted map to fly the plane, you won't crash because the map is internally consistent.
But just because the map gets you there doesn't mean the map is a literal picture of the ground.
Exactly. We're confusing the user interface for the operating system.
Yeah.
And to make their case, they go back to the crime scene, the Michelson-Morley experiment.
Oh, yeah, I remember this. Late 1800s. They were trying to prove the ether existed, this invisible wind that filled space.
Right. They built this amazing device, an interferometer. They spun it around, expecting to see a shift in light patterns because of the Earth moving through this ether wind.
And they found nothing. Null result. So the conclusion was, there's no ether. Space is empty.
But our source calls them bad hunters.
Bad hunters who didn't get deflection shooting.
Deflection shooting.
That's like leading a target, right? In duck hunting or in a video game.
Yes. A duck is flying across the sky. If you aim your gun directly at where you see the duck,
You miss. You shoot behind it. You have to aim where the duck is going to be.
the source claims Michelson and Morley treated their mirrors like they were stationary. They forgot they were on spaceship Earth, moving at 30 kilometers a second.
So they aimed the light straight at the mirror.
Effectively, yeah. By the time the light got to the mirror had moved. They missed the target. And when they didn't get the result they expected, instead of realizing their aim was wrong because they ignored their own motion, they decided the medium itself didn't exist.
That's a wild reinterpretation. They blamed the universe instead of their own math.
And to cover for the miss, physics then invented length contraction. They said, oh, the reason we didn't see the wind is that the machine physically shrank just enough to cancel it out.
That's like missing the duck and then claiming the duck must have shrunk.
It's an excuse for bad marksmanship, is the argument.
Okay, so if space isn't empty, if there is a medium, ether is a banned word in physics. The source keeps using the metaphor jelly.
The jelly is a metaphor for the electromagnetic field. They want you to stop thinking of light as a little bullet shooting through empty space. Think of a sparkler.
A sparkler, like for a celebration.
Exactly. You're running in the dark with a sparkler. The trail of light hangs in the air for a second. You see the shape you drew. The source says light is engraved into the jelly of the EM field. Once a photon is emitted, it's stuck in that spot in the jelly.
And we're the ones moving past it.
We are swimming through the jelly. We move past the light that was engraved there. The light isn't chasing us. We are traveling past it. It completely flips the perspective.
That makes my head spin. It feels like we're moving through a solid block of history. But there's a real mathematical model for this, right? It's not all just metaphors, the unit circle.
This is the geometric part of the whole theory,
Yeah.
and we'll keep it visual. Imagine a circle with a radius of exactly 1 light second. You're at the center. The edge of that circle is the now of 1 second ago.
Okay, so everything on that line is 1 second in the past.
Right, now, they redefine velocity.
Hmm.
We think of it as distance over time. But here, velocity is the rotation of your gaze.
Rotation of my Sarah, what does that mean?
Go back to the train window. If the train is stopped, you look straight out at a cow. Your head is straight. If the train is speeding along, to keep looking at that same cow,
I have to turn my head. I have to swivel to track it.
you have to rotate your gaze. The faster you go, the faster you have to turn your head.
So in this model, speed is literally an angle.
Speed is an angle, omega. And this is where they use complex numbers, the imaginary number I.
It's the square root of -1, the thing I thought was just for torturing kids in math class.
We usually treat it as just a trick.
Yeah.
But this theory argues that I represents a real physical dimension. It represents the depth of the time medium, the lag. They claim that by using complex numbers, you can calculate the real position of the ghost shoe without ever needing to shrink space or warp time.
The math is just there to calculate the lag. It's not there to bend reality.
Exactly. It strips the magic away and replaces it with geometry. It's cleaner, but cleaner. It requires you to accept that you're always looking into the past.
Which brings us back to the philosophy of the screen. This really is about how we see reality versus what reality is.
It's all about the interface. They use this idea of a spherical screen or a bubble all around you. Everything you see is just a projection hitting the inside of that bubble.
Like you're wearing a VR headset.
Yes. Now, if a stick is on the ground and the sun is directly overhead, its shadow is true to size. But if the sun is at an angle, the shadow gets distorted.
It gets longer or shorter.
The argument is that Lorentz contraction, the shrinking effect, is just us mistaking the shadow for the stick.
Mm-hmm.
Our speed, our angle of gaze, tilts the projection, so the shadow on our screen looks shorter.
But the stick itself never shrank.
The stick is fine, we just tilted the screen. But modern physics, according to this theory, built an entire worldview on the idea that the stick physically shrank.
It really does all come back to confusing the desktop icon for the actual file.
That's the core of it. We have an amazing UI. Relativity works for GPS. It gets the job done. But it works the way a video game works. It's code designed to give you a playable experience, not a description of how the microchips actually function.
And we get upset when someone tells us the icon is just a picture.
It's a psychological barrier. We're wired to be pilots, to think we're the center. Accepting the judge's view that we're just swimmers in a jelly of old light, it's a humbling Copernican shift.
It really is. It makes empty space feel full of memory.
It redefines vacuum. It's not empty. It's a recording medium, a memory bank. The universe isn't a void. It's a solid block of information.
So let's wrap this up. We've gone from the prosecutor's simple grid, which ignores lag,
To the pilot's distorted radar, the selfie version of the universe that works for getting around.
and finally to the judge, who does the math to find the truth behind all the ghosts.
The whole point is that we need to graduate from being pilots to being judges. We need to stop treating the interface as reality. The math of relativity is great for navigation, but it might be totally wrong for explanation.
It tells you how to get there, but not what there is.
Well said.
It's a lot to think about. It really does make you look at everything differently. It's almost existential.
It really is. It replaces the sci-fi magic with mechanics, but the mechanics are somehow even more mind-bending.
Okay, so here's a thought to leave everyone with. The next time you go outside at night and you look up at the stars, or even just you look at your friend sitting across the room.
You're not seeing them now.
No, you are navigating a 3D collage of old light. You're looking at a ghost world. The version of your friend you see is a ghost from nanoseconds ago. The stars are ghosts from millions of years ago. We are literally living inside a museum of the past.
So the question is, are you brave enough to do the math and figure out where the real shoes are? Or are you happy just interacting with the ghosts?
That is the question. Thanks for diving in with us.
My pleasure.